Many times, this channel has referred to the situation in Venezuela as the greatest geopolitical miscalculation Washington, D.C. has ever made. I stand by that statement, and there's more evidence for it today. Venezuela, when I was in the military, was our ally. They fly F-16s. In fact, they were the first non-NATO country to get the F-16. Ronald Reagan gave Venezuela the F-16, and they have been socialists since before World War I. That has never changed. So you would have to ask yourself a question. Who really changed? Was it Venezuela, or was it Washington, D.C.? I'm sure a lot of you do not know who this individual is, but he has been primarily responsible for defeating Washington, D.C. and the games they have tried to play since 2014. They're still standing. They're still a country. They're rebuilding. The oil is ramping up, and believe me, in the next 5 to 10 years, they are going to be one of the major players on the world stage, while Washington, D.C. will be on the outside looking in. This is Vladimir Padrino Lopez. And there's an interesting fact about Mr. Lopez that I think would surprise a lot of you. Military career. On 5 July 1984, Padrino graduated from the Military Academy of Venezuela. He commanded mortar personnel of the Antonio Recuarte Infantry Battalion in Rubio Táchira State. Between February and May 1995, Padrino was sent to the School of the Americas at Fort Benning, Georgia for, you ready for this? For a psychological operations and advanced officer training course by the United States Army. Sound familiar? During the 2002 Venezuelan coup, he was a colonel of the Simón Bolívar Infantry Battalion in Fuerte Tiuna and was loyal to Hugo Chavez. This is the primary reason Washington, D.C. got defeated at every single turn. The sanctions didn't work. Random guy named Juan was proven to be a fool. All of the little attempts to push humanitarian aid in from Marco Rubio and all of this kind of stuff, it all failed. Why did it all fail? Because the man in charge of the military in Venezuela was a psychological operations master. He understood very clearly how the human mind works and what was going on in Washington, D.C., and he was 5 or 6 steps ahead of them at every turn he was waiting. If you would like some of that training, if you would like to understand how to defeat Washington, D.C. yourself, I can provide that training. This is what I did as well in the United States Army. 24 cognitive biases, 24 logical fallacies. This is just the beginning. There's a lot more there. But you have to get grounded in the basics. Now, a lot of people are talking about satellites, and a lot of people are talking about Ukraine and all this kind of stuff. This is the real story. Stealth warship submarine hybrid unveiled in Russia. The vessel is designed to track and destroy enemies while staying unnoticed. A military design bureau in Russia showed digital images of the larger, upgraded model of its stealth combat surface ship submarine hybrid on Wednesday. Dubbed the Guardian, the vessel combines surface and underwater features and can spot enemies with its powerful radar and approach them unnoticed. It was unveiled first smaller version of the vessel, which operates both as a patrol ship and a submarine early last year. Newer model is 72 meters long and can travel up to 21 knots. Now, here's the real story. It has a gun turret, 2 guided missile launchers, 4 torpedo tubes, and a drone. The model shown last year was designed for a crew of only 42. Its overall layout is apparently similar to that of a Soviet-era Whiskey-class submarine. Rubin said the vessel marketed overseas as Boss, Border and Offshore Submersible Sentry, will be cost-effective amid cuts to military spending during the you-know-what, and can be tailored to foreign buyers. Can be tailored to foreign buyers. Now, who would need this? Who would really benefit from something like this? Russia says military aid to Venezuela will not be used to attack Colombia, but they leave out somebody here. Russia has promised that military equipment given to Venezuela will not be used to attack Colombia, destabilize Latin America, or end up in the hands of illegal armed groups. Doesn't say anything about the United States. Quote, we need there not to be even the smallest risk that military cooperation, which exists between Russia and Venezuela because Washington, D.C., of course, betrayed Venezuela long ago, and has for a long time, could eventually, because of carelessness or whatever reason, lead to any Russian military equipment being in the hands of illegal armed groups which are present on the border. Long story short, this is what they're going to have. And it will be the end of any U.S. influence in the region. Period. Once those submarines take over the Caribbean Sea, it's over. I hope the choices that are made wherever you are don't put you at odds with these people. You see, the closest port to the Panama Canal in the continental United States is in Tampa, Florida. Coming from the Pacific side into the Caribbean Sea, this is the closest port right here in Florida. So if it were me, I would counsel government in Tallahassee to begin rolling back some of the rhetoric, so to speak, about Venezuela, because it's not going to end well. The chess game is over. It's only a few moves left now. They control the oil. They're going to control the Caribbean Sea. Nothing that's been tried in Cuba has worked. And we know that D.C. is feckless. Criminals don't obey laws. We've said this 100 times. And even the people of this country, a giant chunk of them, have no trust and no backing and no support for Washington, D.C. That opens the door. And that will be what's coming. So, sometimes things are not always what you think they are. I'm sure many people didn't know of the F-16s or of the long-standing, happy relationship between the United States and Venezuela, even though Venezuela was socialist. Through the Reagan era, Carter, you go back through the 40s, even the 20s, they were supplying fuel to the bombers in World War II protecting Great Britain, or the fighters, pardon me. Well, I'm sure bombers too, jet fuel is jet fuel. Washington, D.C. tried to roll out a fake story about Venezuela, and a lot of people bought it, hook, line, and sinker for years. Because a lot of people in North America are unaware of psychological operations and their power and how they work. And I'm sure there'll be people down in the comment section still spitting out the garbage that they were trained to spit out by their right-wing talking point masters. None of it was correct. $1 US, that's it, per month. Lowest possible allowable level. Would love to have you over at Patreon. We've got lots of folks over there. More signing up every day and more starting to see the light. Will you be one of them? This guy has understood this concept for 3.5 decades now. And he's defeated the government that controlled the world's most powerful military, the most powerful military the world's ever known. With a country of 30 million people, maybe, not even that. That's how powerful psychological operations are and understanding the human mind. I'll leave it there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time.